In insurance, there's technically a good, better, and best. Some companies have a fourth option, and really, in reality, there's about 100 options. We're going to go over in specific detail what coverage you should look at what part of your life, plus what is the good, better, best? What are you actually being shown versus what you have options to purchase? Hey guys, I'm Mark with Think Insurance, and if you get good advice out of this, don't forget to give me the thumbs up. That's really the biggest thing that helps me the most. There's a super chat in the bottom if you want to donate to the channel. There's a thing to buy me coffee. I love coffee. I'm drinking some sort of energy Alani or something like that right now, so caffeine is my friend. Anyways, let's dive right into answer these questions. As an agency owner, I actually work with setting the development up of these systems. And one of the things that most people and places don't tell you is we all choose defaults. Just like if you were to go to the link below where we have a way for you to do a quote with a great company that shops 30 plus companies, that you are going through their system, and you've seen in this channel where we go through systems, they don't typically ask specific coverage questions. I don't understand. Why wouldn't they ask that? That's important to me. But it's not. The majority of people don't actually care or know to care what coverages they have or need or want. You got to remember, we were all taught nothing. It's just like we talk about in school. No one taught us how to balance a checkbook. No one taught us about insurance either. It took me several years to figure that out when I was actually selling it 10 plus years ago when I was doing that. But it was a huge learning curve. And each state is different, so it's hard to say what each process is. This is where the market tends to fall against you and is actually failing you, is most agents are getting licensed in multiple states. It starts to become a problem when the agent isn't trained correctly. They don't know what coverage Florida is supposed to have, what their PIP level is versus what the coverage in Michigan's PIP level is. They're completely different situations. What is the coverage in Tennessee versus the coverages in Texas? So there's a lot of different car insurance coverages that make a huge difference in the premium. Let's talk about those levels. The first level is the state minimums, and that's actually the fourth hidden asterisk one. You won't see it. It's usually not on any quote form that you get. It's not a good, a better, or a best. It's a state minimum. The reason that is there is for financial reasons. For the person, and if it's you, it doesn't make you a bad person, it's just financially. You can't afford the insurance. If you're in a high-risk state, a high-risk area, you're just, in general, have multiple claims, even if they're not your fault, if you have a handful of them, it still makes it a high risk. Something in the lifestyle that you have is causing that risk to rise. A lot of times it's the location that you live in, and maybe the people around you are worse drivers. That makes you a higher risk. And those typically aren't shown on quote forms because it's not the common thing for somebody to do. I never recommend it. I've had very few, and maybe 5 people that I've ever written the state minimums just because it was no other option to afford it. I'd rather have you have the lowest and have it than not have it at all and need it. So there's give and a take there. The state minimums in most states are below $50,000 for anything. For bodily injury, for property damage, if you damage someone's car, you can remove uninsured motorist in a lot of cases. So there's a lot of pieces you can just peel off of that policy to save you the most money that you can save. I'll link a video at the end of this to where we talk about those coverages so you're not confused on what we're talking about, the liability and all of that stuff. There's a 101 that you may want to check. The ones you will see on the quote forms is the good, better, and best. So let's start with the good. Typically, and in most researches, if you watch the last 20 videos that I made, you'll see me talk about articles and averages and what Zebra or Bankrate or NerdWallet or all of these guys quote, and they're giving prices, so to speak, and they're fairly accurate, but a lot of times they're the good, not the better or the best. Some scenarios they are the better option, but they're trying to show you numbers that entice you to be excited about doing a quote with them because the good coverages are cheaper, but not covering everything that you typically would want. Most people get frustrated when they fill out a quote or they do a quote online and then someone calls and tries to upsell them. They're trying to pitch them to get something better. But in reality, if you talk to an agent that is concerned about your coverage, having the correct coverage without going overboard. We're not talking about giving the guy that gives you millions of dollars of insurance when you only make $20,000 a year, right? That's just someone ripping you off. In this scenario, when somebody is giving you that bare bones basic, they're getting your attention. And it's not bad coverage. There's usually a lot of stuff that comes with it as long as you have the main components. Bodily injury, if you hurt someone. Typically, those are $100,000 per person, $300,000 per accident. So if there's multiple people in the accident, you've got enough coverage, at least some coverage, to pay some of that out of pocket so you don't get sued. You've got your property damage. Most of the time on the good coverage, it's $50,000. Don't go below that, whatever you do, because the next level is $25,000. And think of how many cars out there are worth more than $25,000. You hit a good used BMW, you hit a good used Mercedes, you hit a good brand new Chevy, SUV, anything like that, you're going to have to out pocket thousands of dollars just because that super cheap coverage wasn't raised. So that's the biggest thing in the good coverage. Then they have the uninsured and underinsured motorist. It's a hit or miss if you're going to get road service and towing. Probably not. You're going to do a $1,000 deductible in a lot of cases. So that's your good package. Your better package is something that is the same scenario, 100, 300. Property damage goes up to 100 in most cases. Uninsured motorist and underinsured motorist, 100, 300. And uninsured property, if it's in your state, is usually 50,000 to 100,000. It really just depends on what your car's worth. So you just base that. If someone hit you, they didn't have insurance, there's nobody to go after to pay for your car. How much is it going to cover to repair your car? Hope I'm not talking fast. This actually, after a cup of coffee, is pretty darn good. Cherry slush. I can't even say it. Alani Energy. Don't know them. They're not a sponsor. They're good. 200 milligrams of caffeine. I'm loving this one. Uninsured, underinsured motorists, all that stuff's there. That's the package. Now the deductibles tend to change. So most commonly, people will choose one of two deductibles. They will choose $1,000, which is probably 40% of the time. And then they will choose 500, which is probably 60% of the time. I do 500 myself on collision, and I commonly do 100 on comprehensive myself for glass and theft and deer and all of that stuff. I'm in a state that has a lot of animals and deer that I could hit, and I don't want to pay a lot out of pocket if that happens. In every scenario, the good, better, and best, I have fairly or never seen them go at 100 on comprehensive. So if that's something that you like, you just have to know that you're going to need to change that. For example, if you go in the link below, there's a company that we work with that does quote multiple companies. If you're shopping, that's a great option. But just keep in mind, if you're the person like me that knows you want that $100 comprehensive deductible, you got to mentally know that you're going to raise about $5 a month extra-ish, depending on where you live and the location and how many claims you have. Hold on. Step back. Usually towing and road service is with the better package. So they'll add towing, road service, and they'll give you the basic rental car, which is $30 a day, up to $900 per incident. You're going to get a copy of this at the end, so when you start selecting these, you'll be like, oh yeah, I remember. Mark said that's probably what it would be. It's exactly what it is. The best plan, the possible premium, 100% best, the absolute cream of the crop, premium, good, better, bing. We're in the bing. We're in the best. The best plan is not much different. It's just, I don't get it. I've done probably 100 quotes online for you guys in this channel, and I've always picked the best, and almost never does it bump above that 100, 300. Doesn't make sense to me. It's a marketing piece. You got to be careful. It's not meant to show you the cream of the crop, because in our minds, that's what we think we want. That's what we think we should get. Oh, let's just start at the top. But when a person does a quote, they rarely go back and edit it. So commonly, they're going to do the 100, 300, 100 for property, 100, 300 for uninsured motorist, towing, road service, rental car, everything's a $500 deductible. They might do a $250 deductible just to switch it up to say premium or best. So it's almost the same exact plan as the first one. Don't get me wrong, they're not horrible coverage, but they're not great. I am actually in the works of creating a program myself that is doing that same scenario where it is good where we do allow them to have the 100, 300. The better, which is the 100, 300 with lower deductibles and all that stuff, just like we mentioned. And then the best or premium, typically you would want 250 and 500. For some people, that's still not enough. You need $1 million and $1 million, or it just kind of grows from there. You don't have to know all the specific coverages that we're talking about today. Like I said, I'm going to link a video at the end of this that will talk about that'll go over those exact pieces. So the next time you do a quote online, just make sure that you know in the back of your head, it's not exactly the coverage that is the piece that they're giving you. What most of these companies do is they're trying to at least collect the data enough that you won't leave the quote, but they'll collect the data. If they knew you would fill the whole thing out and pick the exact pieces, they would have put it up there. But research has shown that most people, if you add a second car, a form for a second car, or a additional question, every time you add one more step to that layer, people fall off. They just don't fill out the information and you lose possible sales. I get it. It's part of the marketing system. It sucks. It's pretty much everything that most companies do, but it starts the conversation. So the powerful piece is don't be afraid to do it. If you see the coverage you like, don't be afraid to purchase it. As long as you trust and know and like the company or person that you're dealing with, that's fine. If you need more advice on that, this channel's here. Or just pick up the phone, or there's usually a button to say contact me, and that customer or that service person or that salesperson is going to reach out to you so you guys can discuss what best options you have. So what's the next process that you should take? Well, here's what I would say. If you don't know the coverages correctly, like we talked about those and they sounded a little bit confusing, I've got a really quick video that's called the Insurance 101 that's going to explain that in depth. If you already know most of that and you're ready to just say move forward, what are some companies that I can work with? And you're ready for that next step and you're just looking to find out what companies are good online, I also have a video here that shows you how to get a quote online, the process that I personally would take, and the ways that you can get the most savings. I hope this was helpful. Don't forget the thumbs up. Otherwise, I'm Mark with Think Insurance. I'll see you in the next one.